I guarantee you reading this guide is going to save you $100 a month. It's going to open your eyes.
At minimum, at absolute minimum.
At minimum, $100 a month.
If you can't cut out $100 a month based on these tips, then you're doing something wrong. All right, let's just get right into it. This is episode 81 of KT Confidential. I'm Adrian, and I got this elastic wrapped around my finger. This is right over here. This is Ariel.
That was a bad intro.
It is what it is. That's okay.
Welcome, everyone. Episode 81. How you doing, Adrian? What did you have for breakfast today?
You and your fucking breakfast questions. I just had yogurt and granola. Boring.
What's wrong with my breakfast questions? We said we're going to have some rituals and some expected conversations within the podcast. People like to know what people eat for breakfast. I don't know.
Well, it's one of two or three things every time, so it's going to be the same answer.
Well, maybe this will motivate you to have a better breakfast.
Well, nothing's wrong with yogurt and granola. It's just I don't have time to make something more fancy.
Well, maybe.
What did you have, Ariel?
Today I had 2 over easy eggs with a piece and a half of double smoked bacon, a piece of brown toast, and a little splash of orange juice, black coffee, and a glass of water. So pretty traditional style breakfast, not overly healthy, but I don't know. I feel good. What time is it? It's like almost noon, and I'm not hungry. So that was my breakfast this morning.
Good. Well, I'm glad you had a good, fulfilling breakfast.
Well, I woke up really hungry because I didn't have dinner last night.
That'll do it.
So I needed some fuel this morning.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're fueled. So let's get into this. I want to talk today. We want to talk about money saving, and timing is appropriate because we just published this money saving tips guide, and timing is also appropriate because people are out of work. They're on reduced work, reduced incomes, and yet their expenses have not changed.
Well, and I think people now are going to realize, if they haven't already, that holy crap, we're spending too much money, right? Or
100%.
We need to be better prepared that if something like this happens again, that we're not going to feel it as much as we have. And so for those of you, yes, Adrian, you just touched on it right now, but I want to put a big push on this, and I want to encourage everybody to click on. We're going to put the link in the description below, and anywhere that this is being watched, we're going to be pushing it on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's a money savings tip guide that we sat down and spent lots of time. Adrian was working on this project for a while, and we put our minds together. We got so much input and just really gave some thought to what's going into this guide. And it's 18 pages of easy to read content. And I guarantee you can save $100 a month. And we're going to talk about my challenge in the upcoming podcast. So make sure you're subscribing to this podcast wherever you're listening or wherever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. I don't care. Make sure you're subscribing and following, because we're gonna launch this Save 100 challenge, where I'm gonna challenge everybody to save $100 a month. I guarantee you, reading this guide is gonna save you $100 a month. It's gonna open your eyes. And
at minimum, at absolute minimum,
$100 a month.
If you can't cut out $100 a month based on these tips, then you're doing something wrong.
And I just want to put into perspective, because $100 a month might not sound like a lot, right? Like, because you go to the store and $100 is gone like that. A case of beer now is, I don't know, pretty close to $100 if you're buying the tall boys, right? So it's like $75 or so. So $100 might not seem like a lot, but let's extrapolate that. Okay, if you're taking that $100 and you're investing in property, or if you're just saving it or whatever, that's $1,200 a year. That's $6,000 over just a 5-year period. So let's put it in perspective. Think back 5 years ago. It's not that long of a period of time, and $6,000 with interest is probably somewhere between 7,500 and 10 grand. Wouldn't you like to have an extra $7,500 right now? Download this guide, check out the link, download it. It's easy. There's no obligation. We're giving all this content away for free. All you got to do is just fill in your name and your email address, and boom, it gets sent to you. So,
well, one of the things that prompted me to get into this was when I got my vehicle last year. My lease was done. Excuse me. So I got a new vehicle, and I didn't bother to check my insurance and how that would be impacted. So I get the vehicle. I'm going to pick it up the next day. I call my insurance company, get my insurance set up. It was $1,000 more per year. $1,000. So I was like, that is absolutely ridiculous. So I started calling around. I ended up with TD insurance just after calling, I don't know, I called probably half a dozen people. And TD in particular is one of the companies that does group rates. And I switched everything over to them. So everything being home and auto. And not only did I not have that $1,000 increase, I also had a $1,000 reduction. So we're looking at a $2,000. It was more. It worked out to be just over $200 a month in savings. So $2,400 a year just for making a minor change and maybe spending 3 hours of time on the phone. And I have better coverage.
Well, and so, it was at around the same time that I started cutting back my costs as well, because as we are growing our companies and investing in properties, we need to find extra money. So when you do that, it forces you to look in areas where you might be spending too much money. And so it's around the same time that you were telling me, which was probably in the dead of winter or fall, and you were telling me about your insurance savings. It prompted me to call my phone and internet and cable provider. And
yeah, I remember that.
And I ended up saving, I believe it was about $60 to $70 per month, just on my home internet, cable, home line, which they bundle as a package, and then I've got the cottage internet at the cottage as well. So those four things, I ended up saving between $60 to $70 a month, and they improved my services on top of that. So I'm getting better internet both here and at the cottage. They added satellite service for free at the cottage. Now I downgraded one package in my cable because I said, okay, well, I don't need cable. So I ended up with a approximately $100 a month less bill every month from Bell. And it was just calling them and telling them, listen, I can't afford this stuff anymore. What can we do here? I want to stay a client, but if we can't work something out here, I'm going to look elsewhere or just cancel the stuff altogether. And after about half an hour on the phone and talking to whatever they call a client retention person, they said, okay, well, we can give it to you for, again, about 65 or whatever dollars less a month and increase your internet speed. And so...
Now, was that on a term, a 2-year contract or something?
Nope.
Nice. So that's good.
Nope. I've learned one thing, and that's now with phone and cable and all that, there are so many options, and retaining a client is super important for these companies. So, do everything you can. There's a tip for you. Do everything you can to stay off contract. Be a free agent all the time. And even if that costs you money, which it shouldn't, but even if you're going to spend 5, 10, 20 bucks extra a month just by not having that lockdown, I think you'll be better off in the long run. But most companies are negotiating favorable terms and prices for people, especially right now, right now, because they want to retain you, and they know that potentially you'll leave them altogether. So you need to make that call.
Yeah, well, and the vast majority of companies now have altered their business structure to this monthly payment plan because it's so effective. Whether it's software,
subscription services are huge.
Subscription services, that's everything now. As to something as simple as not long ago I had to send a fax, but I don't have a fax machine that I could use. So I signed up for this app that allowed me to just do it through this app. So I had the PDF on my phone. I used the app. I sent it. I had to sign up for a monthly subscription. I get a trial period of 30 days, and then it was $10 a month after that. But there are so many people that get sucked into that, and then they forget about it.
Well, that's it.
They're paying this money, and it may not seem like a lot, but it adds up. And so in this case, if I didn't, and I felt like I kind of jumped through hoops to cancel the trial after I sent the fax I needed to send. I had to send numerous emails to do it. So they don't make it easy on you in most cases to cancel, and then you've got all these payments coming out of your account subtly every month, and many people don't even remember they're paying it.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story, okay? And you know me, I'm very detailed and very good with my finances, and I know every cent that's coming in and out of all the business and personal accounts and everything. And I do manage that quite well. But I noticed just last month that I was getting charged in 2 different areas for Netflix. So it turned out that I actually had 2 Netflix accounts that I was paying for. And what happened, I remember this about a year ago. I was logged out of Netflix. I can't remember if it was here at the cottage. I think it may have been at the cottage. And so I logged in to which email address I thought the active account was with, and it activated this account again, because I guess at some point I had one email address with one account, and then one email address was signed up for a new account at some point. I don't remember if it was to take advantage of maybe a 30-day free trial, or who knows, or I just didn't remember, which was more likely. And so it activated this other account. But this other account was through Apple. It was through the cloud service.
Yeah.
So I was getting billed by Apple on one account and Netflix directly from the other. And I didn't correlate what that extra charge on Apple was because I have some cloud services and some other things that Apple bills me for regularly, and it was bundled into that. So I didn't see it. It's only when I started digging in that I go, oh shit, I've been paying for 2 Netflix accounts for the last year. So
did they reimburse you?
I didn't have the time yet to call them. I figured out which one it was and I canceled it. And actually ended up upgrading the account that was active because we wanted to have multiple users able to use it. So I upgraded to that $13.99 plan, which is still a lot less than the cable that I downgraded. But even the best of us can miss charges. And then there are charges like bank fees, and certain things like that just slip under the radar sometimes, right? And it's like,
well, like you recently pointed out that when I set up the property tax payments for that rental property we have, that we were being billed an $11 service fee monthly. I didn't realize that was happening,
right?
Or I didn't click in that that's what it was being caused by. I thought maybe it was just a monthly fee for the account.
Yeah. No.
So there's tons of things.
So I've got a tip that isn't in the money saving guide at all. At least I don't remember it being in there. And it's a tool that I think you and I have probably talked about for a number of years. And it's something that I've trained a lot of people to do and talked a lot to people that I know and family. And that is just down to negotiation 101. Okay. And not everybody is a good negotiator, a good salesperson, or likes to do it. And I don't know, maybe it's the Jew inside of me that was brought up this way. But when you're buying something, and I don't care what it is, and I'll give you an example where somebody may have been embarrassed to do it, but I'm not. It's asking the provider or the salesperson or whoever is selling you the product, the service, whatever, if that is the absolute best price that they can offer you for that product or service. And it doesn't have to be anything more than that. Just asking somebody. And if they're going to hesitate, or if they think about it or whatever, then you know that there might be room to negotiate that price. If they tell you flat out that, I'm sorry, no, this is what it is, take it or leave it, then at least you can walk away in full confidence knowing that you got the best deal possible and that somebody else isn't paying less for exactly what you're getting. And the reason I like to push this now is because of my years in the car business, where, I don't know, maybe it's a pit in my stomach that's sitting the wrong way right now, because that's the way we operate. We're fully transparent in all of our businesses now. But in the car business, when you're selling cars, and maybe this is why used car salesmen get this bad rap, or car salesmen in general, you can walk in to buy a vehicle and pay X amount of dollars for it, and then customer B walks in the afternoon and pays $500 less than you just paid for that vehicle. So always ask somebody if this is the absolute lowest price, the absolute best price that they can offer their product or service. And it's that will save you money. You won't get it every time. And before you interject, I just want to give you an example. For our anniversary, I purchased an expensive item for Natalie. It was a big anniversary for us. I wanted to treat her to something nice. And she always wanted something from Tiffany's. And, you walk into Tiffany's, you feel like you're going into a bank vault, right? Like they're so stiff and you're almost afraid to walk in. At least I was. I'm not rich. I never walked into the store before. And I'm looking at these products. And finally, I found something that I thought she would like, and I looked at the sales guy and I said, is there any discounts available on this? Is this the best price that you can offer? And he almost laughed at me and he said, "This is Tiffany's, bro. Like, we don't discount." So yeah, but I had to ask because I don't know, 10% on an expensive item is a lot of money, right? So.
Well, 10% on anything. And that's where I think people don't really think of it that way is, if you were able to get a consistent return of 10% on your money, you'd be extremely happy. To get a 10% discount on something is very reasonable to expect.
Well, especially in retail, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And, whether you need shoes or clothes or, any general retail products like that, it's easy to save 10, 20, 25, sometimes 50%. So, and those numbers are unheard of from an investment perspective. So your money is going far, far further than it would if you just buy on a whim. And that's where people with, I can't remember the term for some reason, it slips my mind, but when people make quick purchases without doing any research whatsoever, it's often at a huge cost financially.
Impulse buy, right? Like that.
That's yeah.
And there's a lot, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people ordering stuff online right now. And I think because of COVID, there will be more online purchases than ever before. Not only do I think a lot of retail operations are going to fail because they can't rebound, but I also think a lot of people are going to love the convenience going forward of just having shit delivered to their house, right?
Yeah, of course.
But the problem with buying online is it's too easy.
Right.
You find something online. Can you hear me okay? Because I'm chopping up a little bit on my end.
I hear you all right.
Yeah. The problem with it is, you see something and you just click buy now, and automatically, I don't know, maybe you've had a few drinks or something, kind of like the way we booked our trip to Las Vegas years ago, which was at 3:00 in the morning after drinking a half a bottle of whiskey. We just said, okay, click here. And next morning we realized we booked the trip to Vegas. People do that all the time with buying stuff. And on Amazon, especially, it's not just Amazon selling you stuff. It's suppliers and retailers from everywhere, and they can ask whatever they want to ask for that item. In fact, a lot of those items are being drop shipped from somewhere else. So the person that is advertising on Amazon is really just a middleman that's ordering it through a drop shipper from another area or that a manufacturer is actually sending it out.
Yes.
And you might be able to buy that product somewhere else for much, much less, but out of need or convenience, you see it on Amazon, you go, oh, I need that nail clipper. It's only $14. That's not too bad. And then meanwhile, there's another offering for it at $9, or you can buy it from Walmart for $4. I don't know, but don't get suckered into those things, because that.
Yeah. Well, one thing we did is one of our team members, Steve Cicchetto, he did some research on mobile apps that you can subscribe to that help in various ways.
Let's put a link to that blog in this as well, because I think that's a great blog to read. If you haven't read it, it's a good one.
Well, and there's so many apps in there, whether it's related to so many things, whether it's saving money and finding out where the cheapest gas is, to finding out where you can buy a certain product at a better price, or getting coupon codes, et cetera, et cetera. So that makes it very easy to do these things we're talking about. So I encourage people to check out that blog and look at, I think there's maybe 8 or 9 apps that cover various types of purchases. And some of them actually are designed to pay you for shopping. So depending on what you're purchasing in your day-to-day shopping that you're doing anyways, you can get reimbursed for doing that. So some great options there. So not only is there the one perspective of finding ways to save money, there's the other side of learning and finding ways to generate more income. And some of them are just effortless. I know you're a big advocate of reselling, buying, like you used to go to auctions and stuff and buy stuff and resell. That's one option too.
I don't do it out of need of money, but that's how it started. Because when I quit my job and cold turkey, as you know, I left a very good job and quit, and took a little bit of I don't know whatever you want to call it, self-healing time after that job, and in transition to being a realtor and starting our team, there was about 16 months of turbulence and hardly any income, because we were doing a lot of things behind the scenes. We were doing a lot of training and learning and courses and this and that. And at that time, I had my condo in Florida, so I spent a lot of time in Florida, as you know, and I enjoyed that time very much. But in that, I leveraged my lines of credit, and to the point where my lines of credit were maxed, and I had very little or no income coming in, and I still had a mortgage plus all these expenses of life, a vehicle, the condo and things like that. So I had to figure out a way to make a few extra bucks while we were getting the real estate business going. And this was now, 11 years ago. But I've always had a passion for flipping and kind of that side hustle. And Gary Vee, who we follow on a regular basis, much like myself, had kind of a fascination with sports cards. And I've always loved sports cards. And growing up, I was a big collector as a kid. And that was really my first job, was selling and hustling and flipping sports cards to kids in my school. And it never really stopped. So when 11 years ago, when I had these financial troubles, I was going to auctions, local auctions around the GTA, and buying products that I knew would ship easily, or that I could list and just turn over real quickly. And I think maybe we talked about it in one previous podcast, but I'll bring up a quick story. In fact, for those of you watching on YouTube at ktconfidential.ca, by the way, this is one of my prized possessions. As you know, I'm a big, I love hockey, right? I'm a big hockey fan. And Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, and Mario Lemieux, four of the best players to ever play. This is a pretty rare piece. It's framed beautifully. It's nicely matted. It's really professionally done. It's autographed with, you can see the nameplates underneath here. And it comes with a certificate of authenticity and all that. I didn't have an office in the house at that time when I bought it, but I bought that in auction for $400. I could sell it now if I wanted to, probably around $1,500, maybe a little bit more, closer to $2,000. I won't sell it.
No,
but I could.
It's impressive
if I needed to. And then I'll never forget the time, as you know, the story with my airplane parts.
Yes, where you basically had an airplane in your basement.
Correct.
Dismantled.
Correct. Yeah, a Boeing 737. Which was put out of commission and broken down for parts. And there were a bunch of windows and odd parts that were at this auction. And the auctioneer saved that for one of the last items being auctioned off. And for most of the time, auctions, as they go on longer, people kind of bail out, right? Because auctions are long, 2, 3, 4 hours in length. So people don't stick around.
So your competition wasn't very stiff.
I didn't have a lot of competition. And when I wasn't even going to buy it. I thought it was cool because I'm kind of an aviation geek in that sense, that I love planes. I love flying. I started my pilot's license courses and all that stuff. So when it came up to auction this lot, he started at about $500, if I remember correctly, and nobody was bidding. And I mean, there is a ton of this stuff. It was on a stage, like on a platform, and just a big pile of crap. And nobody was bidding on it. And the way they presented it wasn't very nice. It got down to $5. And I said, "Oh man, for $5, I'll take it." And I gave him a $5 bid, and I won. And I had to cram all of this into my car. So like
it was sitting down there for a while in your basement, wasn't it? Or is it?
Yeah, no, I finally got rid of all the pieces. So after we finished the basement, and after I had Mint Garage come and do my polyaspartic coating on the floors in the garage, I cleared everything out. But the story goes that yes, it was in the basement when it was unfinished, and it could just kind of be there and not bother anybody for, I don't know, 5-6 years. And I said, you know what, I'm going to start selling off some pieces. So I just took a couple of photos and put them on some Facebook groups. And I ended up selling 4 of the windows. And I think my total haul in terms of money at that point was $300 and change. And then finally, when I got the garage done. So after we finished the basement, I put all that stuff in the garage. And then when we wanted to finish the garage, I had to get rid of it. So I posted it as a lot for $75 or $100, and somebody bought the whole lot, and we'll make money on that because I was selling each window for 120, 150, 110. So whoever bought it will make money. But I ended up netting $500.
Yeah.
And I could have sold it much quicker and turned it over. So doing things like that.
I think there's
a huge opportunity there.
Yes, there are. But I think at the same time, there's two different categories of people. Two different categories of opportunity. One is just kind of, I don't say common sense, but common sense savings, where easy opportunities to cut back your spending with having very little impact on your lifestyle. And these are things that everybody should really do. Because it's just wasted spending. And then there's the more aggressive option of earning additional income, which doesn't always require a lot of effort, but it can. But it can also reward you heavily too. Obviously, being a real estate podcast, I want to relate this and put this into perspective of where that or how far those savings can get you. Now, you've talked about the savings aspect and how a simple $100 savings monthly can equate to $10,000 potentially over a relatively short period of time. For those, we've helped people purchase homes, and many a times they set their own budget, and they may be approved for $1 million, but they want to spend 600 because they've calculated the money based on spending $600,000 on a house, and they're comfortable with that monthly expense within the current arrangement of their lifestyle and their current budget. Right. But even then, we found people that based on that spending, they couldn't quite get what they really wanted, or there were a number of important items on their list of things that they wanted to buy in a house that they couldn't get without increasing their budget. And when you take a quick look at your expenses, it's very realistic to think you can save $400 a month. And that, depending on interest rates, obviously, but can quickly equate to about $100,000 in purchasing power, which takes you to a completely different level when it comes to house buying. Or maybe like right now with COVID going on, a lot of people, actually, you talked about it yesterday. You were chatting with somebody who wants a pool, and they are confined to their house, and they would now like to have a pool, and they've decided to purchase a house that has a pool or space to put a pool. But maybe somebody has a house with a yard that's already big enough, and they've just never really thought it to be a feasible cost to them. But really, you take out a home equity line of credit for $50,000 to $100,000, depending on what you want to do, and your monthly costs are $200 to $400, $500, depending on how extravagant you want to go. It's very reasonable to think you can find that savings in your current spent expenses, and you're net out of pocket the same amount of money, and now you've got a pool.
Well, I also think that what a lot of people need to do is the whole reality check and ask yourself what is important to you in life. Because I had a Zoom chat with a really nice couple last week, and kind of to your point, they were approved for a significantly higher amount than they are willing to budget for on the purchase of their home. But in that budget price, it's not going to get them what they actually want to buy, that they're going to feel good about buying. And even though that, historically, real estate is the best investment that you can make, especially now in the GTA. But what they told me was interesting. And they said, we don't want to sacrifice our vacations. We want to travel. We want to travel. We want to travel. Look, you can't have it both ways. So either figure out how to make more money and have the best of both worlds, or you're going to have to cut something back. If you're not cutting back your vacations, Do you really need the cable extra plus package? Do you really need to be driving a luxury vehicle? Do you really need all these subscriptions? I don't know. Check out the money savings tip guide and really have a look at every tip. There's 37 of them. And I'm telling you, take a hard look in the mirror and figure things out on how you're going to save money, how you're going to make more, and then what is that money going to be used for? Hopefully it's real estate. I don't know, but whatever is important to you. I think people got to do that reality check, and I think people will do more of it now because, hey, we've been slapped in the face a little bit, right? The economy has been slapped in the face a bit. Our job security, our savings accounts, our investments, everything's been slapped around a little bit in the last couple of months. So include yourself in the mix, cut some expenses. We teach you how to do it for free in that guide. So click on the link in the bio. We got to hop on a Zoom call with some clients. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about today, or
No, I'm good. I think if you're not already following us, make sure you follow us because we'll be posting a lot more about this, and we'll hold you accountable to saving some money. And the biggest thing I think one big problem people have is keeping up with the Joneses. So I'm a big advocate of learning to enjoy, be content, and be happy with the things you have, and not overdoing it just to impress people that really don't care.
On that note, thanks for watching episode 81 of KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can get these podcasts on any platform that you listen to your podcasts on, so make sure you follow. And of course, Instagram, Facebook, go to our Kormendy Trott pages and make sure you follow us there. We're always pushing out some good content. And I am going to start holding people accountable to save $100 per month. We're going to put out this challenge. And what do you think, Adrian? Should we
Sign me up.
Should we do some giveaways?
I think it's. I think they go hand in hand. We have to give away. So not only will they be saving money, we will contribute to their savings by giving some stuff away. So follow us and follow the hashtag.
There's some incentive to follow and subscribe. We're going to be doing some giveaways and helping you make those savings. Make sure you download this guide. Link is in the bio. Thanks for listening and watching episode 81. You guys have a great week.
Ciao.